Hopefully you can't hear the breeze from the fan blowing to try to dry everything out here. But
couldn't hear it, didn't know it.
Once again, I got flooded, and this time it was Henri. The sump pump did its work, but the shower decided to overflow. The shower drain.
The shower drain, not the shower. I was going to say you can turn the shower off when it's overflowing. So.
I wasn't here, so.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Lager Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, October the 19th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai, eating a carrot apparently tonight.
Yeah, what's up, Docs?
Pretty funny. How are you tonight, Mr. Samurai?
I'm eating a carrot.
That's how you are? That sums it up?
Diet.
You're on a diet? You're on a rabbit diet?
At least no, I'm not allowed. Can I eat rabbit? I might be able to eat rabbit.
Oh, I see. I meant a rabbit's diet, not a rabbit
diet.
Oh,
you said rabbit diet.
I know. I left off the S. I'm sorry. Anyway, so what's new?
What's new? Mm-hmm. Well, happy Dress Like a Dork Day.
Yes, happy Dress Like a Dork Day.
So I've got my Star Wars samurai shirt on.
Happy Dress Like a Dork Day. I'm dressed like a beer dork.
You're dressed like a fanboy.
A beer dork.
We've been through this. You're a fanboy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason for this particular.
Well, as long as you don't garb that up and then go to the brewery dressed like that.
No, you never do that. Then that's like wearing a concert tee to the concert you're going to, or a race day shirt on that race day. You know, that's you don't do that. Those are taboo. You can't do that.
No, then you're just a dork.
Exactly. So. Then you're dressing like a dork. So there you go. It comes full circle. So.
It's another day, which is a day that's near and dear to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be International Gin and Tonic Day.
It's internet. I didn't know whether it was national or international, so I just left the national part off, and I just put Happy Gin and Tonic Day. So.
Yeah, that's it.
But any day you drink a tonic, drink a gin and tonic is a happy day.
It is a happy day. It is, I know you like your juniper.
This is true, and we'll more on that in a couple of minutes. Actually,
stay tuned.
Stay tuned for the Juniper Report coming at you tonight. Yeah, you know what's funny? I just wanted to tell you really quick.
There's one thing in that beer that will kill you. More at 6. Oh, actually, it's past 6. Don't you love that?
Yeah.
Don't you love those newscasts?
Exactly.
We've come across something that will kill all of humanity in 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes. More on that in an hour. Exactly. But anyway. I was gonna tell you though. I was walking down the street. I was taking a walk before. I was going down, and there was this guy, this older gentleman, right? And he was walking. He fell into a hole in the ground.
There we go.
I guess he couldn't see that well.
Yeah.
But anyway. Come on, one dad joke a day. You know that. Come on.
A hole. By deep hole. He meant well.
I tried. He meant well. Yeah. A big hole. He meant well. And it was one of them. You can interchange them. That's fine. So. Okay. Anyway. So we have a guest tonight.
Yeah, considering we've pretty much fallen flat on our faces right now.
It's right about this right time. 3.5 minutes.
It's a good time. Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, let's bring on our guest tonight. And if you could guess, well, if you didn't read what the post was about the guest, anyway, what I'm wearing here. Let's bring on Lindsey Bohanski from Allagash Brewing. There she is, right there.
Hey, Lindsay.
Hello.
How are you, Lindsay?
I'm doing fine. I'm drinking beer. That's
always a good thing.
And I love that you're on the show because I get to drink Allagash on the show.
Exactly. So now we get to drink Allagash. So
I mean, you can always drink Allagash on the show. There's
we always can, but yeah.
we try to drink with whoever the guest.
I totally get it. I totally get it. That's polite.
So next week we'll have on Barreled Souls and drink Allagash with them. So.
Sorry, guys.
We should.
We should.
Lindsay told us we had to.
Lindsay said we had to do that. So anyway.
I make the rules. What can I say?
All right. So what are you drinking tonight before we get into?
Oh yes, indeed. Well, I am drinking Nocturna, which is a beautiful barrel-aged stout we do this time of year. It is delicious.
Does that get distributed?
This year, yes, it did. It was nationally distributed, actually.
Very nice.
See how pretty it is.
Gonna have to get my hands on some of that.
Do a little bit of a search for that one. Yeah.
Get on the old.
Brian, get on that. Find out where we can get that.
Yeah.
Well, there's a beer finder on our website.
Yes. Yes, there is.
All you got to do is punch in your zip code.
Does that just tell us where Allagash is distributed, or will it tell us where the different beers are?
You can pick the brand and you can pick your zip code and you can tell within how far you would be willing to travel to find whatever brand you want.
There you go. That's a beautiful thing.
It's pretty money.
Very, very unique tool, and
I like that.
It's good to have. Absolutely. So we'll have to. I will at some point in this conversation tonight, while you're talking, I'm definitely going to be on the website looking for the beers. So, see how it works, but
unless Brian gets to it first.
Yes, Brian, if you are listening, please get to that first and let us know where we can find Nocturna.
He's not listening. He would have commented by now.
He would have commented by now. He's usually spot on that. So
yeah.
Anyway, so Samurai, what are you drinking before we get into the conversation?
I picked up some Two Lights.
Two Lights.
I wanted something a little lighter to start with.
Gotcha.
Considering going Mondo heavy towards the end of the show.
I'm just gonna have the one, so that's why I wanted to go amp it up a little bit over here.
Yeah, I figured go a little late considering I do have to get into the city tomorrow for work.
This is it's always a good thing.
Love how musty this beer is.
There's literal must in it.
There is must in it.
That would explain why it's musty.
There you go.
Nice.
Grape must.
See how that works?
Let's see. We can always look at the can here because there is writing on the can that if I put these on, magically appear. Beer brewed with Sauvignon Blanc must, fermented with lager and champagne yeast. That would explain the bubble. Well, you can't really see them here, but
yeah, it's definitely one of those where like you pour it. It doesn't have like the highest head retention because of that the grape juice content.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but the bubbles are in there. They're active.
Yeah, it's bubbly. It's bright for sure. Champagne-like.
I am
straw color there.
Very nice. I'm enjoying From Maine with Love #5.
That was the juniper bit. I was hoping that was the case.
That's the case. That's my nod to Gin and Tonic Day. It's a pale ale with juniper and sea salt. So I'm looking forward to drinking this.
He's got to get up early in the morning and work as well.
Yes, I do.
Fair enough.
No,
well, I got to get up early and work, but I just stay right here and work. So there you go. So, cheers, everybody. Yes, that's an Ohio.
Ohio?
Glass. Yes. Well.
Okay.
There you go. I have to apologize.
No joke for that.
There isn't it. I have to apologize.
Ohio.
I do have an Allagash tulip, and I could not locate it. And I looked for about 15 minutes, and I was like, finally, I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. So,
John, you know where mine is, right?
I know where yours is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Packed away in a box.
Packed away in a box, yes.
Is the glass from Ohio? Was that I missed it.
Yes, no, well, the back of it has a picture of Ohio on it, and then the
it's a Rheingeist glass.
It's a Rheingeist glass. So
yeah, I actually lived in Cincinnati for 5 years, so I'm very familiar with Ohio.
Sure.
You know the joke about Ohio.
It's round in the middle and high. It's high in the middle and round at both ends.
No, that's one. No, that if you know that most of the astronauts, the original astronauts, were like 80% of them are from Ohio. Someone quoted, "Is Ohio that bad of a place to live that you're willing to leave the planet?"
Go into space.
There you go.
Hey, Cincinnati's actually a really cool town. I was skeptical at first too.
Cincinnati's cool. No, I do like Cincinnati. I've been a couple times. It's a cool city. And
Cleveland's upped itself a little bit.
Cleveland, yeah, the beer game in Cleveland is actually spot on. It's actually really good too. The scene up there. But whatchamacallit? Yeah, Rheingeist has making some good liquid. But this is not about Rheingeist. This is about Allagash. So let's
Allagash. We've been there.
We have. And we have proof too.
Yep, there is proof.
There is proof right here. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, nice.
That was back on August 13th.
That was on August 13th, and this picture was taken probably about a minute and a half after the three of us were talking up there as well.
Yeah, so. Probably about.
It was a beautiful day. I remember that day.
It was gorgeous that day, absolutely.
It was little hot, so we sat in the shade.
Yep.
Gotta have some shade.
Yeah.
Still a nice day.
Gorgeous.
And you stayed up in Portland that day, and Jess and I left and went to Boston. So that was a fun trip. Good job. But anywho, let's talk a little bit about what's that? Allagash. Let's talk about that. Okay. Let's actually start with you first, though. I'm going to ask you what we ask everybody, just a generic question we ask everybody. If you can remember, it can be an ish if you're not exactly sure. But do you remember what the first craft beer you ever had, or the first craft-ish beer you ever had was?
Oh, wow. Well, so I went to undergrad at Boston University.
Good drinking town.
Yeah, Boston's a really good drinking town. We got some good beer there, but so I grew up in the era of like Harpoon and Boston Lager, and I don't remember exactly what my first official craft beer was, but I did drink a lot of Sam Adams, and I think probably one of my first that I really liked, which I'm totally embarrassed by now, is Sam Adams Cherry Wheat.
That's fine.
And
what's wrong with cherry wheat?
Yeah, but honestly, Boston Lager has always been like one of my faves, one of my go-tos.
Boston Lager is a good, solid beer, and I tell everybody all the time too. When you drink Boston Lager in Boston,
yes,
it's so much. I mean, not it's good and solid anywhere, but it's so good in Boston.
Yeah,
because it's made in Jamaica Plain.
Some of it, Lager. And then the rest of it's actually ironically made in Cincinnati.
Everywhere else, no, I'm saying everywhere else is made in Cincinnati. Like if I get the Boston.
We're back in Ohio again.
Yeah,
we always go right back to Cincinnati.
It's a theme. It's a theme.
Yeah, the Boston Lager we can buy here in Jersey comes from Cincinnati. The Boston Lager we drink up in Boston.
Fresh Boston Lager. Yeah, I mean that was really those were my like Harpoon IPA and UFO, and then Boston Lager. Probably like my first few really like solid craft beers.
Nice. That's great. And we're not too far away. I mean, Dave and I talk all the time when we get asked that question back, and it's Sam Adams, it's Harpoon IPA, Pete's Wicked Ale.
But Sam Adams was my first.
Sam Adams was my first. Yeah.
My first IPA was Harpoon.
Harpoon, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There you go. Good stuff.
There you go. Awesome. So, how long have you been in the beer business?
Oh God, that's a great question. So before I was officially in the beer business, I wrote a beer and food blog, lovebeerlovefood.com, which no longer exists. Don't Google it. And that was sort of it was a fun hobby. My husband, back when we were dating, we started homebrewing together, and that was really what got me into beer because I love to cook. So for me, brewing beer was like cooking. You could make anything you wanted.
Absolutely.
And so I got really into that. He and I spent a lot of time homebrewing together. And then when we moved to Cincinnati, I got really bored because I didn't know anybody that lived there. And so I started writing about beer and food, and I would write recipes and suggest pairings and talk about homebrew and all sorts of different stuff.
That's great.
And that was back in, 2008, I think, probably. Okay. Wait, is that right? No, that's not right.
It's not?
Time is like...
Don't ask us. We don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know, right? No, that's not right. It would have been more like, when did we go to Cincinnati? We were there for 5... It was probably about 10 years ago, right? Okay. So, yeah, 2011, 2012-ish. Okay. And then, I was working in hospitals doing medical research, funny enough. Okay. And I ended up... just deciding that I wanted a total change of pace, and I accepted a job as a distributor, wholesaler, for a craft beer distributor in Cincinnati, called Cavalier Distributing. Okay. And I worked there for a couple of years, and then we decided we wanted to move back to New England, and so we decided to move up to Portland, and because I'm originally from the Boston area, right. And so when we moved, really the only place I wanted to work was Allagash. I would have worked other places, but I just I was always such a fangirl. I loved the company, loved the beer,
sure.
Loved the ethos. And I've been working there ever since. It's been 5.5 years that I've been there.
That's great. That's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
Who could blame you?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't blame you at all. So
it's so good. It's so
awesome. Good. All right. Why don't we start with a little history about Allagash?
Yeah.
Give us the backstory.
Absolutely. So just to give you an insight, a little bit about what I do at Allagash, I run our tour and tasting program. So right now that's mostly virtual tours and tastings, but we will be eventually getting back into it.
I was going to say you disappointed us that day, but
I know. I'm so sorry.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
No.
Because remember what we asked her. And she made up for it because we asked her, "What is the stupidest question you've ever gotten on a tour?"
That's true.
You want to share that one?
That definitely went to everyone. So.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember what it was now. What did I tell you? I can't even remember.
You told us that someone had asked you, "When do they add the alcohol?"
Oh God! Oh, that's
brutal.
classic. Yeah, that's brutal. It's like, so at what point do you add the alcohol? It's like, that's what the whole thing is.
Right. Yeah, there's bottles of alcohol. You make the beer and then it needs about a cup of alcohol in this one.
Yeah. Yep. This one, add the alcohol.
Let's go with isopropyl this time.
But Allagash has been around since 1995.
Sure, absolutely.
Brewing Beer. So our owner, Rob Todd, who's like the world's best boss, he started the company. His journey started at Otter Creek Brewing. He started off as a kegging operator there, and he really didn't even plan to be in the beer business. It was just sort of meant to be. He started working there as a kegging operator one day, just because he needed a job, and just fell in love with the beer industry. Just knew this is what he wanted to do, what he was meant to do, and he worked his way up to brewer there, and then he realized, I want to do this as my own thing. He didn't want to compete up in Vermont, so he decided to come down to Portland. He had friends down here, and started Allagash Brewing Company in the summer of 1994, and then officially released the first beer, Allagash White, which is still our flagship beer. And I will give ourselves a little pat on the back this year because we actually won a silver medal at the Great American Beer Fest again this year for White and for Triple Two, which is pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
And got Brewery of the Year for our size category. So from very humble beginnings, the first 10 years of the company were a grind. Yeah,
congratulations
thank you.
To all of you, you and Rob and everybody. Cheers on that.
Yeah, we were super, super pumped about that.
Here's a question for you. Allagash White.
Yes, please.
That's not a question.
Classic.
Orange slice? No orange slice.
No.
Oh, you just went straight to the heart of it. Okay, so I'll toe the line on this one. So we don't shame anybody for putting fruit in beer. It's your choice, it's your beer. You do what you do you. But Allagash White is brewed already with freshly cracked coriander, curacao, orange peel, and then also a secret spice that I can't tell you. But so we already add the orange. Yeah, we already add the orange zest, so you don't need to.
You don't need to. Yeah. You don't need the orange in there.
It's already citrusy. You know what? If you like it with an orange zest, or sometimes people put a lemon in, which I don't really understand.
I don't get that one. But
whatever makes you happy. You only live once.
You know what? I do have to concur. When I was running a bar, and we had trying to really make that connection to people. Blue Moon drinkers. Hey, you got to drink this. You got to try this. You got to drink this. You got to try this. Totally. And at a point I was like, excuse me, I'll try this. If you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it, and I'll buy you your Blue Moon. I'll buy you your next Blue Moon. But if you like it, you like it, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember one person saying I don't like this, but and the majority of them started drinking Allagash White in lieu of Blue Moon. But there were a few that asked for the orange. They couldn't. They couldn't leave that. I totally get
it. It's a safety blanket. It makes you feel good, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with
that. And I love that transition as well. I had a friend, his crispers, because they call them crispers. They're beer holders. In his fridge, was always filled with Miller Lite and Blue Moon. And after working on them for a while, I went to his place once, and one of the crispers was full of Allagash White. Nice. The other was still full of Miller Lite. I couldn't break them of that, but if you're going to drink a light adjunct,
you're going to have a light beer, whatever.
Fine, that's fine. But I was very proud of him to see that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Someday everybody grows up. Someday, right?
Yeah,
this is true.
I still don't know that he's growing up, but okay. At least his taste buds, man.
That's a little question.
No, we don't hate on Blue Moon. Blue Moon drinkers are all future Allagash White.
Oh, John and I will. It's okay.
No, that's all right. Hey, you drink whatever you want, and like Dave just said, when it comes to light lagers, like macro lagers or whatever, like he said, if somebody, I want to say if somebody holds a gun to my head, but if somebody tells me you have to drink one of the top three, it's Miller. Yeah. At least it has some flavor. But in any event, we're not talking about that now. We're talking about Allagash. So back to what we were talking about. So Allagash White and 111 at JBF this year, but that's what was originally brewed. His first brew was
so that was our first beer, and it's so funny because the beer itself, the recipe hasn't changed at all.
That's awesome.
But the obviously the equipment that we have is
Of course.
Yeah.
Way,
a little bit
better
different than it was in 95. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. I mean, now the consistency that we can get out of our brew house is just unbelievable. You know, back in the day when Rob was first brewing, he was brewing on old dairy equipment that he literally got for virtually nothing.
Wow.
He had 2 tanks. Now we have a 5-vessel 70-barrel Braucon system, which is like the highest tech German system that you can get. Crazy. And now we brew 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is. It's a beautiful thing.
And what was the capacity of the brewery back then?
He had a 15-barrel brew house. I think that's right. 15 barrels.
Right.
That's, that's still for most breweries these days. That's still big. That's a solid system, you
absolutely.
Crank out a lot of liquid with that.
I mean, he thought he'd be brewing on that system forever. Yeah. He thought we would only be selling beer in Maine forever. So, that's why he came up with the name Allagash, because he wanted a name that really resonated with the people here in Maine. Mm-hmm. And so the Allagash is like this beautiful, pristine wilderness region in the northern part of Maine. And that was the reason he chose it, was because he was like, I want people to feel like this is their beer. Sure. And when you start off brewing a cloudy Belgian style beer and try and sell it to hardcore Mainers who are used to drinking, if it's craft, it's like something more English.
Sure.
People weren't making Belgian style beers back in 1995. Rob just loved the style and wanted to do it because that was his passion.
That's awesome.
I remember the first time I came across Allagash. Mm-hmm. It was a trip to Boston. Oh God, it was a long time ago. I don't remember what year it was. And there's a place. Actually, we went for dinner in Somerville at a place called Red Bones. Mm-hmm. Okay. And back then, craft beer was not very well known. Sure. And they were a craft beer bar. Yeah. Fantastic barbecue.
Mm-hmm. And that sounds really familiar. I think I've been there back in the day.
Well, they had a big wheel behind the bar. And because most of the beer that they had, you've never heard of, and they had a lot of Allagash, may have heard of, we didn't, you could ask them to spin the wheel.
Yeah.
And whatever it landed on, that's what you drank. And the first time I spun it, it was an Allagash beer it landed on. I can't remember. We didn't have Untapped or Beer Advocate back then to check stuff in. Didn't have
you had a pen and a piece of paper in your pocket too.
Didn't have cell phones back then, I don't think.
Well, I'm sure there were cell phones if Allagash was around. They were big bricks.
I don't know. 95 was a long time ago.
95 was.
But yeah, that was about, I don't think it was that far back, but that's when it first, because obviously you were distributing into Massachusetts at the time.
Yeah, we've always done a lot of business in the Boston area. For the first few years of the business, we didn't sell beer outside of Maine, but Boston's always been a real big supporter of ours. And
Sure. Yeah,
that makes me happy, obviously.
First time I had Allagash too was in Boston. I don't even, I know I had Allagash in Boston. I remember that. And I'm pretty sure it was white. Don't ask me where it was.
The next time I had it was Sunset Pub and Grill.
Sunset Cantina, and they're so that was like a BU staple.
And they're gone now.
I know.
That's a shame.
So my husband and I spent a lot of time drinking beer there.
Yep.
And with the size of the small plate of nachos was
like
half the table rather than the whole table.
Right.
The pulled pork nachos were the bomb.
Oh God, yes they were.
Stop, you get me hungry.
I know. Sorry, I know. I'm starving over here.
So,
I'm eating a carrot.
There you go.
Brutal, dude. Brutal.
So, where's the rabbit? You didn't get the rabbit out yet?
No. Hot and pepper.
Hot and pepper for you?
Pepper, yeah.
There you go. Anyway, cool. And then, so when approximately? I'm just curious. I didn't think about this one. But when did he make the jump? When did you make the jump to the 70-barrel system? Or was there a stopgap in between? Was it from the 15 to the 70, or was there
No, we went to a 30-barrel brew house first.
All right.
And we still have our 30-barrel brew house. We actually use that for our kind of scaled up pilot beers. So right now at the brewery, we have a
30-barrel brew house for pilot.
Yeah, I know, it sounds crazy. So we have a 70-barrel brew house where we do all of our year-round brewing for white, which we do. That's like 5 days a week because it's 80% of our business still is just Allagash White, which is amazing.
Sure.
And so Allagash White, triple, 60 counties, North Sky, our Belgian stout. all get brewed on our 70 barrel brew house, all the year-round beers. And then we brew our kind of wild and sour beers and then our scaled up pilot beers on what was our old 30 barrel brew house, which it has all been replaced over the years. But for a while we had Rob's old equipment there with some additional tanks that we were using, a proper separate whirlpool and that kind of a thing. And so now we also have this teeny tiny half barrel system where we brew our actual pilot ideas, which all employees can contribute to. And, I've had beers brewed on the pilot system that have made it out to production. Everybody that works at the company can contribute ideas, which is super
great.
fun.
Like, what were some of your beers?
Yeah, so I had a beer 2.5 years ago. It was right before I got pregnant with my daughter. Thank God.
You couldn't drink it.
Thank God. But
how much of it did you drink? Never mind.
It was before.
Was it responsible?
It was before that. No, I about 3 years ago, I pitched a pilot idea to do a grisette style saison, so like a low alcohol, crushable farmhouse kind of style beer,
nice.
Brewed with grapefruit zest. Because I love that citrusy note, and
sure.
One of my favorite beers that we don't brew is a beer called Grisaka that is brewed by Oxbow up here in the Portland area, and love that beer. And so that was sort of my inspiration, and wanted to do it the Allagash way, obviously. And so I submitted that idea to the pilot system, and pretty much right away they were like, "This is a great idea, love it." So we ended up doing it, and it was one of our first can releases that we did on a big scale, which was super, super, super exciting. Nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's called Darling Ruby. And I was so happy with how it turned out. It was a really good beer. So it was a pain in the butt to brew though. So we're never going to do it again.
Wow.
like wicked pain in the butt. We were like hand squeezing, not kidding. Like this is not even a joke. We were hand squeezing or hand juicing ruby red grapefruits for like 2 days straight and zesting them too. It was crazy. It was way too much. It was too much.
My knuckles and wrist hurt right now.
I was going to say,
yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but it was just, you got to get it right. You got to do the flavors right. And we actually did a pilot batch on our 30 barrel brew house, a scaled up version, before we released it, and did at least one test batch on the 30 barrel brew house before we scaled it up. And we actually did brew it on the 70 barrel brew house because it went out to everywhere we sell beer in back then it was 17 states.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I've got a new beer.
I feel like I remember that beer. I feel like I do. I feel like I've had it.
It was super cute. It had like clouds on the can and like this really cool biplane on it with like sun. The sun was the grapefruit.
Okay. That's awesome.
It was so cute. They did such a great job.
Now that you mentioned, I think I remember that too, but I don't think I don't know.
No,
it's a great beer.
Not sure.
I'm biased, but I liked it.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't you be? I would be if I were you.
Yeah, and I just found out a few months back that I got accepted for another pilot beer idea. That's going to be kind of, what we do now is we sort of, we brew like twice a week on our pilot system, and then we bank those ideas, and we have them in the works so that when somebody has a great concept that fits the time of year, that fits what we're doing, that kind of just sounds like the right thing, then we have all these beers that are ready to go.
That's nice. That's
great. Super cool.
Any inside information on what that new one's going to be?
Oh, I don't think I can tell that. I think that's like a little.
It's going to be good, right? It's a good beer.
You're going to love it. I mean,
there you go. That's what I forgot. Is it a winter style beer or
no? It's more of a summery beer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, yeah. I would say summery for sure. It's lighter.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I drink any beer any time of year. There's nothing that I won't like. I won't have, I won't not have a light summer beer if summery, not summer beer, summery beer in the winter. That's silly not to. So yeah, absolutely.
No,
I mean, if you think about beer like Allagash White, I mean, the spices of white sometimes bring up, some of those kind of warmer winter spices, even though it's clearly a super easy drinking light citrusy beer. Yeah. You can still get those kind of winter spices too. It's perfect year-round beer.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Coriander's a mulling spice.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, all right. What was I going to say? What are some of the let's talk about some of the beers. Core beers right now, flagship beers, if you will. Obviously, Allagash White Triple. What else?
River Trip, which is our kind of hoppy pale ale, Belgian pale ale, delicious beer, brewed with Comet and Azaka hops. It's dry hopped. It's kind of like our interpretation of a table beer, so lower alcohol, but still got that hop wallop. We don't really do a traditional IPA here at Allagash. Obviously, it's not really our style. We really focus on those Belgian-inspired beers, but River Trip is really nice. It's super sessionable, but still hoppy and really satiates that, the hop folks. North Sky.
Is it more of a, when you said it's like a table beer, is it still like a Belgian table beer? Or is it still use the Belgian strain yeast and everything else?
We're still using our house yeast in that beer. And, I think if you just told somebody it was a pale ale, they would be like, cool, this is a great beer. I feel like the yeast characteristic is there, but it just adds to that fruity note that you get from those hops.
You're not getting a ton of candy and everything else in it here.
No. It's not. You're not getting that clovey note. Like it's real clean.
Gotcha.
And we can control that a little bit with fermentation temperature. We still use our house yeast, but by keeping it a little colder, it actually ferments a little bit less out of those esters and phenols that you get in a lot of those Belgian style beers that sometimes people don't like, but obviously we do. But we try and keep it not super, we don't want somebody to be drinking our beer and just think of bananas and cloves. That's not
no, of course not.
River Trip's a great one. Obviously the triple, one of my favorite top 5 for sure. Curio, which is a year-round beer. North Sky, which is also a beautiful beer. That's our Belgian style stout. I love it so much. Yay.
Yes, that's the next
so
one.
Good. It's just so good. I love it so much.
Want to read it again,
especially
Dave?
This time of year.
North Sky.
North
Got
Sky.
it.
North
Got
Sky.
it. I've been practicing.
Reading.
He's getting there. Hooked on phonics. He's ready to go. So
good for you, bud. Good for you. 16 Counties is a beer we do year round, but only sell in Maine. It's kind of our homage to our local farmers. We brew that with Maine. Great beer, Maine grown grain. You definitely get that Belgian yeast character in that beer. Golden ale, it's really lovely. House beer, also same thing. We only sell that beer at the brewery. That's a year-round beer that we do, one of our core beers that comes in either a big crate case, which is really fun, or in 4-packs.
Nice.
So if you have something you want to drink a volume of, it's kind of like if we had a house lager. That's sort of how I explain house beer. It's like just a crusher. It's just a good one.
If you're gonna drink a few, sessionable, just keep it going. And
exactly. Yep. Sessionable, easy drinking. Totally.
Gotcha.
Crisp, little bit hoppy, but not like over the top hoppy.
Right.
And then we also have a whole series of Little Grove beers, which are kind of like our take on like lower alcohol, sessionable, easy drinkers as well. And those are kind of, they've become kind of year-round beers as well, which is fun.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've got a sessionable too.
Yeah, Curio.
Yeah.
Curio can sneak up on you, man. That beer is dangerous.
It's over 10%.
Yeah, I mean, I always joke that we hide alcohol well here at Allagash. Like that, like we.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
Yes,
you definitely.
We have a lot of
well.
stronger beers that are just not. You just can't tell. They're so good. Oh, you know what other beer I forgot this year round is Fine Acre, which is another really delicious golden ale we do, all organic. So that beer is delicious. It's kind of like if you took triple and made it like a little bit more sessionable. It tastes just like that. It's got all the flavor of triple.
Fine Acre.
It's not gonna wallop you. Yeah, I mean, I love triple, but
I love.
You're not always gonna want a 9% beer,
Well, yes and no.
Depends on what kind of
I always want a 9% beer, whether I should drink one or not all the time is a different story.
Whether that's a good idea or not.
Right. Depends on how your day at work went.
Well, this is true.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that turns from want to need at that point. Anyway,
this one's a year old.
That's okay. Curio can keep for.
Oh no! It's. I wish it was older.
Nah. Curio, I mean, I feel like that's right within the wheelhouse. The Curio is still good.
Yeah,
I like the way these age.
I got about a year-old bottle of Curio downstairs too. I was gonna drink that, but I can't drink a 750 by myself on this podcast. So between Ferment with Love 05 and North Sky, I think it'll be good. Speaking of that, talk about the Ferment with Love line
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a cool series. It's actually how we showcase a lot of our employee pilot ideas.
Okay.
So for Made with Love #5, what you're drinking or drank, I guess already. Good for you.
There's a little left.
That treat. That beer is so good. That came from Greg, who's one of our seller. He's been working with the company forever. I think he was one of the first 10 employees.
Nice.
And he's just an absolute riot. And he makes, this is going to sound so weird, but I feel like you guys will appreciate this. He makes a sauerkraut with juniper.
Really?
And so that was actually the inspiration for the beer, was like he wanted something that was tart and junipery. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of leaned on the style of Goza, kind of like this traditional German style beer that has salt and coriander. And in this case, he wanted to use juniper. Mm-hmm. And so they made it in our own Allagash kind of way. But, that was the inspiration, was his like favorite sauerkraut recipe. And the, beer was born. It's such a good beer. It's super light. The juniper is not overpowering.
No, it's not. It's like perfect. It's right there. It's nice.
It's there, but it's not too much. And I think, with spice, you just have to be so careful. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things at Allagash that we're really good at. Our brewmaster, Jason, he started with the company back in 1999. So he's been with us for a really long time. And he's just amazing. Like the way that he balances those flavors is just impeccable. He just nails it every time.
That's really great. That's great. And I'm actually interested in the sauerkraut too, but that's besides the point.
I know, right? Yeah, get Greg on the horn and get some of that sauerkraut.
If you read my bio on the website, it says, or even on Instagram, it's like once thought to be the most prolific bratwurst griller in the Northeast.
By who thought that? We're not sure.
The same people that called Dallas America's Team. That's the same people that did that. So.
Oh boy.
Anyway, we won't go there. Anyway,
not going there. That's for Wednesdays.
That's for Wednesdays. Yeah, Wednesday we do a sports podcast. So that's.
He does.
Fun.
Dave doesn't. I do. Yeah.
I don't know nothing about sports.
Yes, you do.
I'm not really. I'm a Sox fan through and through, but.
Hey, go Sox! I'm right with you there. Absolutely. Dave and I are both Mets fans, which makes us Sox fans through osmosis, but that's besides the point.
Fair enough.
So, but the way they won last night, I mean, please. Yeah, what was it, 12-3? I think the final score was. That was great. But anyway,
as long as the Dodgers don't win.
How many? Yeah, that's true. I don't think the way Atlanta's playing, I don't think they're gonna. But we'll see. Anyway. So how many are there in the For Maine with Love series? I know we had a few while we were up there that day.
Yeah,
so right now we're on 9.
There's at least 8. Yeah, there's at least 8.
Yeah,
I know I drank 8
now. We just released 9 2 weeks ago. Okay. One of the fun things I get to do is I work really closely with our marketing team to do a lot of videos for our Instagram content. Mm-hmm. And so every time we come up with a new For Maine with Love beer, I get to really deep dive into it and really kind of learn the backstory and taste it and really get to know it really well. And so For Maine with Love with 9, that one came out. That was actually kind of fun. We have this expression, it's sort of an internal thing, but where we take white and we reuse some of the fruit that we use for some of our wild and sour beers. Mm-hmm. We actually use it a second time. We take, our favorite wheat beer and we age it on that spent fruit, which would normally just go composted, but there's so much good flavor still in there that we don't want to waste it.
Oh yeah.
And so, because we're only really using whole fruit at the brewery and for our wild and sour projects, which, we'll go through 30 or 40,000 pounds of fruit in a given fruit season. And so we don't want to waste that. It's delicious. It's expensive.
Sure.
And so what we'll do is we've done a few of these projects where we take white and we age it on that spent fruit. And then it pulls out all of those, the tartness, it pulls out the fruit flavor and just really transforms into a completely different beer. And the For Maine with Love #9 is what we call the dirt dogged version of Stories Told. So Stories Told is a really complex beer we do, which is kind of a dark blend of wild and sour beers from our cellars. And then we age that on blackberries and cherries. Total one-off beer. But in this situation, what we did was we took white and we aged it on that fruit, the blackberries and cherries that were left over. And so it really pulls all those jammy flavors out, gets that hit of tartness. It's really, really, really unique. So that wasn't anybody in particular's pilot idea, but that was sort of like our pilot team coming together and coming up with, what fun thing we can do with the spent fruit for that beer. So
that's so fun to do that too. It's so, it's limitless. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
One suggestion goes to another, and all of a sudden you have from one beer you have 4 different beers in a 10-minute span just from suggestions and everything else.
Exactly. And I think that's also part of the reason that Rob was really drawn to, Belgian style, because really Belgians don't give a shit about styles. There are some traditional styles out there, but, Belgians brew with what they have on hand, what they grow on their farms, what they get in the air. There's so much variety. And I think that is definitely what we try to embody at Allagash. It's just, constant innovation, constantly trying to find something fun and new and unique to do, for sure.
That's awesome. And speaking of what they find in the air, let's talk about the cool ship.
Mm-hmm. My favorite.
We may speak about that later.
Segue.
No. Good segue. Epic.
There you go. Talk about the cool ship when it first came about, and some of the beers that have been fermented.
Yeah.
And so forth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The cool ship is just such a fun story and such a huge part of the culture of the company. So, back in the day, Rob had gone on, I'm going to go a little bit back. Back in the day, obviously Rob was super inspired by Belgian style beer. And one of the ultimate Belgian styles is lambic, which is traditional, open, inoculated, with native wild yeast in the Seine River Valley, specifically of Belgium. And Rob just was so curious about it because, back then nobody in the US really was even making sours at the time. Apart from maybe a couple folks, New Belgium was starting to dabble in some of that stuff later on, and
about it,
Russian River and exactly. And so all those guys, he ended up taking this crazy trip to Belgium with a whole bunch of kind of these iconic these iconic craft American breweries, and like Sam Calagione from Dogfish, all of these folks from Avery, Vinny from Russian River, and they went and they got so inspired, and they went to Belgium and they tried all of these delicious lambic style native wild beers. And he came back and just really was like, you know what, maybe we should try and do this here. And the folks from Cantillon actually were like, do it, you can do it. Totally do it. And everybody else was like, don't do it. It's not going to work. And he just was like, you know what? He woke up one day a few months after the trip and he was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to try it. And we're just going to see what happens.
That's great.
And I'm pretty sure it was a little bit more vulgar than that in reality, but it was more like, F this, let's do it.
All right.
But yeah, he tried it out, and like everything with beer, and especially when you're in this realm where it really becomes more like art, where it's so much blending and time, and the average cool ship beer that we make ages for at least between 1 and 3+ years, and is blended together. So these are really passion projects. They're not something that we just whip together.
Yeah, it's not. It's not a hey, let's get rich quick scheme here, and let's
absolutely
this is a labor of love for that.
There's some risk involved.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there is, and there are beers that get dumped. That's part of the thing. So the way that it works is, this is how traditional lambic beers are brewed in Belgium. Is that we have a cool ship, which is a wide brownie shaped kind of tank that we send our wort into, which is what beer is before we add yeast.
Brownie shaped.
Yeah, it looks like
rectangle.
It looks like a rectangle.
I know that. It's just an interesting choice of words.
It's good. I liked it. Yeah.
I feel like you need a visual. It's hard to even perceive of something. It's really shallow. So
shallow, and so it looks like
and wide.
If you made one really big brownie, that would be the mold would be.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like
I'm enjoying the choice of words for that.
So we brew a really complicated wort with really a whole crazy mash schedule where it's different temperatures starting with these. We really we're trying to create food for yeasts that are going to want to eat sugar right away, that so we down to this super, I know it's super nerd shit, but the microbiology of it is really important. And so we want to create these different types of sugar molecules that yeasts can eat up right away, and then they also can kind of chew on for the long term. Right. So it's a really complex mash schedule where we're doing all these different temperatures. We heat it up. We just beat this mash together and all this grain, and we use aged hops. And then we cool it overnight in the cool ship, where it gets pumped out. It's its own little shed. It's this little, and like if you saw it, you'd be like, what is that? That looks creepy. But it's like this little beer chapel, and inside it has stained glass windows, and
really,
it's it's so cool.
Yeah, I have yet to actually see I've been to the brewery, and each time I was not able to. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the next time you come to the brewery, the least thing I can do is at least show you the cool ship, because it's at least outside, and that can be kosher. At minimum, I can do that for sure. But yeah, so we brew those beers overnight. This time of year when it starts to get cooler overnight, really what we want is the temperature overnight to be just around freezing. And what that does is it cools down the wort in about 12 hours. And this thing steams like crazy. So, you dump the wort in there. The cool ship itself is like a metal tank that, it's just around 30, 40 degrees. So it just like hisses, like, because the temperature difference is crazy. Sure. And it cools down overnight for the season. And then it gets pumped right back out. So it's not sitting in the cool ship for more than 12 or 15 hours, just long enough to cool down. It's just for inoculating. It's not for fermentation.
Right.
Which is sort of a misconception about how the process works. And then it goes right into barrels, and it lives its life for the rest of its life in the barrels. It ferments and everything in there, and it takes a long time.
That's great. And the beer that comes out of those barrels is amazing. I have yet to taste one, and you'll find out from my list later.
They're special. They're special. Yeah, so wild yeast and bacteria, it's a harmonious relationship. And,
sure.
Those native wild yeast and bacteria, thankfully, up here in Portland are pretty awesome and make some really special beer. So not like lambic. We don't call them lambics. We call it the Cool Ship program. And we actually had to invent the American word for Cool Ship because we were the first American brewery to do it.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I didn't know that either. That's right.
All I know is anytime I see something with the word Cool Ship on it from Allagash on the shelf, it's coming home with me.
Yeah,
it's good. It's going to be a winner.
And more than one. Have you opened your second beer yet, Samurai?
I have. I'm drinking Curio now.
I was making sure. You saw me hold up North Sky.
You held it up. You just haven't opened it yet.
I didn't open it yet. I'm opening it now. So
I'm still slow rolling my 9.5% Nocturno over here.
I'm trying to skip this one because I really don't want to drink the whole 750, but I do want to drink the whole 750.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. That's always the danger.
Such a yummy beer.
The
wood. I'm sorry, John, but the wood in this that comes out of it is fantastic.
That oaky vanilla character in Curio is just so beautiful.
Oh, the vanilla!
I've never found a beer like it still to this day.
The vanilla just leaches into the beer so lovely.
Yep. Labor of love. We love it.
And there's another reason I love it, but we'll get to that in the top threes.
In the top three list when we get to it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Sorry.
So now onto your
cheers.
Beer. Oh, beautiful. Nice pour.
North Sky. There you go.
Cheers.
Beautiful.
Oh, such a good beer. Oh, wow.
Awesome.
So smooth and roasty. It's ridiculous.
I know. It's so good. I'm like, I don't want to ruin it, but it's up there for me.
Yeah, So anyway, well, what I was going to say, any seasonals coming out? Any one-off seasonals? Larger distribution, obviously, not just Maine, obviously. Well, although there very well could be some people in Maine watching this right now, and obviously listening in the future in the audio podcast. So
yeah. So Stories Told, which I just kind of told you about by way of For Maine with Love #9.
Sure.
That is going to be a limited release that's going out to everywhere we sell beer, except for a couple places, I think. So check the beer locator.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to be on that for a little while.
I think it's going to 19 states, which is everywhere we distribute to.
Gotcha.
And that beer is awesome. Just such a cool, complex beer. Really cool sour. If you like sours, don't miss that one. That one's delicious.
Sours.
Huh?
I like my sours.
Yeah, you got to. And I think too, I think sometimes people get scared about sours, but most of our sour beers are pretty well balanced. They're not just they're not like vinegar bombs,
Right.
Balance is so critical. The other beer that you should definitely check out, which is a limited release, is called Scenic Way, which is released. It is, I think, mostly in New England. It's a partnership with Hannaford, and also, we're locally distributing it. Just such a great farmhouse style beer, Saison.
For our New Jersey and audience down here, Hannaford's the local supermarket up there.
Yes. It's like
Not
a Kroger or Stop and Shop or whatever, what have you, local.
Right.
And there's a huge Hannaford right around the corner from you too. So
yeah, it's massive. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that is definitely one to check out. Really delicious farmhouse style beer. New from Maine with Love beer coming out. We're always coming out with something new.
Sure, absolutely. So. Any upcoming events at the brewery, or that you're involved in outside of the brewery? Or
yeah.
Before we move on to events, no haunted house this year.
No, we did release haunted house this year. Okay. It's been out for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
my gosh.
Well in time for October. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We released it at the beginning of September this year, just to give us plenty of time to enjoy it. That's one of my favorite beers of the season for sure.
Still after the pumpkin release.
Yeah, hoppy dark ale. So I wouldn't describe it as, it's not an IPA. Don't think of it like that. It's definitely, it gets, you just get a little bit of that hit of like hoppy bitterness. It's not like over the top. You get more of that piney kind of hop character. Beautiful beer, 6.66%. So very spooky.
Now, are the brewers really that good? They were able to nail
the gravity down to get a 6.66.
I mean, within the way that we can very confidently put 6.66% on the label and not get in trouble with the TTP. So, no, we nailed it. 6.66.
Right on it. Dropped in the hydrometer and look, 6.66.
That's what I mean. That's because when you add the alcohol in, that way exactly.
Because you
just put a little bit extra of that, just a little bit more to get that extra 0.06 in. So there you go.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Or 6.5. Give me the bottle of grain.
There you go. Boom.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to bump this up a little bit more. That's awesome.
So yeah, I love that beer.
So, are there any events coming up, or that you're involved in, or any?
I mean,
I will starting to come back around a little bit, but.
Yeah. So this becomes the time of year at the brewery, at least on site, that things start to get way more quiet, because the summer for us is definitely the busiest season.
Yeah, of course.
And
we saw that we were there that day in the middle of August.
Oh my gosh,
we got there when you opened, and there was 100 people there within 5 minutes. So
yeah, it's wild in the summertime. But starting after leaf season, really, I mean, we're in the thick of it now, so it's still quite busy at the brewery. But after leaf season, we really start to chill out a little bit, and we're actually going to be closing for a day in October, on October 25th, to help reopen the space and have some really cool features, because we are going to stay outdoors until through the end of December. The tasting room is going to stay outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
That's brave.
Which is crazy. But I think part of it really is that so much of our business is, distribution. We sell to so many states, and, 19 right now. And we can't afford for somebody in the brewery to get sick and spread it all around. So
they don't do that. Yeah.
So Rob has really toed the line with this and kept it pretty conservative in terms of, keeping us healthy and safe. And I'm really happy and proud of that. And, the tasting room is an ancillary business to the whole mission of the company, which is to make the best Belgian inspired beer in the world. Right. And that, we can't do that if our whole team gets sick. So it's sad, but we're gonna stay outdoors through December. But we have some really cool plans to keep people warm, and some cool heated seats and some really fun stuff too. So it's totally worth a trip back up, even though it's gonna be chilly. I mean, obviously weather dependent. We can't guarantee that it's gonna be warm, but totally still fun. And in Maine, everybody has adapted to all this insanity over the past year and a half, and it'll be fun. And then starting next year, we're going to be, in fact, one of my fun projects that I'm working on is a whole new thing, which I can't really share very much about, but it's going to be awesome. And it's going to involve people coming back to the brewery and checking out lots of cool shit. So stay tuned.
I love the fact that it's going to be cool and involves people coming back to the brewery and checking out a bunch of cool shit. So that's.
Yes.
And when can we look?
No more information needed. That's perfect. You got me ready.
When should we make our plans to come up?
I know. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, plan for early spring right now, hopefully. Stay tuned. But you know how it is.
Late March, early April.
In flux. hopefully March, but we'll see.
Gotcha.
We'll see.
Either way, works for me.
I can't make any promises, but it's worth definitely staying on top of what we're up to because we're going to have some cool stuff going on.
It could be Samurai could be a birthdays trip for you and I in April. So there you go. There you go.
Yeah. You know where to find me, so.
There you go. So, all right. Were you going to say something, Dave?
Say we're not too far apart.
No. 11 days.
11 days.
Mm-hmm.
March is a good year.
In April.
Good month, I mean.
In the
what?
Oh, that's right. You were born on my brother's birthday.
Yes.
Keep forgetting that.
There you go. All right. Hey, why don't we do our top threes?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Everybody, as we always say, our top three list is why do we do top threes? Because the top 10 list would be way too long. It would take forever. So,
yeah, that's too much.
Top three list. And we do top threes because when we first started doing it, we weren't having any guests yet on the podcast. This is over a year ago. And
we can say that now.
Yeah, now we can say that now, yeah. It was just Dave and I, and we did top threes because we paid homage to 1933, the repeal of Prohibition. 33, 3 and 3, 2 threes, 3 lists. There you go. So there we go. It works. So anyway, so tonight's top three list is top 3 favorite Allagash Brewing Beers. Top 3 favorite Allagash Brewing Beers. Shocker, everybody. That's what we're doing tonight.
Shocker.
But we'll have at it. And our esteemed guest, Lindsay, why don't you please go first?
Okay, so this is always so hard because honestly, it changes every week.
Of course.
But,
we've said that a million times. You could do the same top 3 list once a month, and each time it'll be different.
Totally.
So.
But I'm going to live in the moment. I'm going to live in the now.
There you go.
And so top 3 for me right now are a beer that we kind of inspired our Wild and Sour program at Allagash, which is Interlude.
Okay.
Which is it's a saison, but it's got Brettanomyces yeast in it, so it's got that fruity funkiness. And it was actually how we discovered a native strain of Brettanomyces that also kind of inspired our Coolship program, because without that native wild yeast that we discovered, we probably wouldn't have started doing the Coolship beers, because that really inspired Rob to think like, wow, if we have this cool Brett strain here, maybe we have even more cool microbes that we could do this, truly spontaneously. And so Interlude was really the impetus for a lot of things, but the beer itself is just unbelievable. So it's a strong saison. It ages in red wine barrels. It gets pitched with our Allagash Brettanomyces yeast strain, which is really amazing. And it's just like the perfect beer, especially for when it starts to cool down, because it is strong. It's usually around 10% alcohol. Every batch is like a touch different, but just a beautiful saison, super sneaky, like one of those beers you would just never know, like Curio, that would just wallop you, but it's so good. It's just a beautiful beer. So that's number one.
That's your number one?
Forever. That's number one.
That's number one. Okay.
I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Sorry.
No worries.
And so 2 for me is North Sky. I am like obsessed with this beer. It's so good.
It's so good. It really is.
And, I love a good stout, but this just has everything for me. It has this silky smoothness. It's got the caramel. It's got the chocolate notes. It's really complex. It's just a great beer. It's perfect for drinking, but also it's perfect for after dinner. It's such a good beer. I love it. It's just beautiful. And then for number 3, number 3 for me is the hardest.
Gotcha.
Usually is.
Yeah.
Because there's so many others, and you don't want to not leave something. You don't want to leave something out. But
you can cheat the way John and I do and give honorable mentions. That I thought of this one, but I went with this one.
Right, well, it's tough because Allagash White for me is like desert island beer. Like if I could only drink one beer for the rest of my life, it's Allagash White for sure. 100%. But for me right now, like it's just not like on the top of my mind. Like I love it always and forever, but I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Scenic Way, which is the farmhouse ale that we're doing with Hannaford, it's got like these notes of like lime zest and tropical fruit. It just is so, and it's dry and crisp, which I love in a good saison. I mean, it's just a really good. It's just a great beer. It's great with food. It's great alone. It's just and it's crisp, it's, as opposed to, North Sky and Interlude, which are a little stronger, little bit fuller bodied, Scenic Way is just a crusher, and it's still super flavorful, which is what I love.
There you go.
So
that's a beautiful thing.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And you're sticking to it. Gotta love it. There you go. All right. Samurai, what are yours?
Well, I'll go 3, 2, 1.
I figured.
And when John first brought up this for the top 3, said, it's very possible you're just going to get 3 cool ship beers. But I also knew that there was one beer that just topped everything for me at Allagash, and we'll get to that. But 3 and 2 are indeed cool ship beers.
Nice.
Number 3 is cool ship Lemur.
Ooh, blackberries. Yeah.
Man, but the way the yeast works in that is just fantastic. That is
beautiful.
It really, really showcases that yeast that it gets picked up in the cool ship. Oh my God, it's so yeasty. But the blackberries, it's not jammy.
Yeah,
it's dry. So it's just an amazing beer.
Cool.
Number 2.
That was like a super small batch one too. Cool.
Oh God, yeah, I'm really happy I got to try that. Pesh, cool ship Pesh, the peach.
Yeah.
We had that in August.
We had that in August when we were there. It was the first beer that, it was Carrie's birthday. It was the first beer we drank when we sat down.
Sure.
First one we ordered.
Nice.
So that's
the second. No, it was the first one I ordered too. I had it too.
Yeah, the first one I ordered. It's like, okay, what cool ships do they have? Pesh, nice. We're going with that. So that was our first beer of the day, and it really set the tone for just an amazing day. Number 1 was the first time I was at the brewery. And one of the things I love about this beer is that it is also the base for my number 1 beer, Strictivus. Strictivus. They had it at the brewery. It's just sour, punches you in the face with the sour.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Are you sure it wasn't just a sour beer and somebody was actually punching you in the face? Are you sure that wasn't the case?
No,
I do tend to piss people off a lot.
That's my point. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's very possible. But everyone was happy because they're sitting in Allagash, so it was fine.
So interesting, Strictivus. So funny story about Strictivus. Strictivus is actually, if I'm thinking of the right beer, which I'm pretty sure I am, it's the same process that we do where we take white and we age it, on the spent fruit from our Wild and Sour series. And I'm pretty sure it's the dirt dog of
Dirt Dog.
Pick Your Own, which is
actually they told me there that it was a Curio.
What?
So maybe they've done that. Maybe they did that process. A Curio, either that or the bartender that day was wrong.
It's possible. It's totally possible. Process.
What day of the week?
But was it fruity or not?
Yeah, but it was very, very dry.
Yeah. Okay.
Extremely dry. Dark fruit.
Yeah.
Dark fruit, dark colored beer.
Okay.
So interesting.
Let me see if I can pull up my picture of it.
Yeah, pull it up.
See if
now I'm dying to know.
Strictivus.
It definitely got some color to it.
While you check,
because of the fruit.
Yeah, because it's let me see. I checked it in as so fucking good, clean sour, berry notes abound.
That was your
berry notes.
That was your note. There it is. An Untapped. Is there an actual thing you could push on it? So fucking good. Can you push that one?
That's just that's just a button.
And actually, it wasn't all that dark. It was very berry colored because haunted house is in the middle of this picture.
Strictivus. Totally. So that's Dirt Dog to Pick Your Own.
Yeah, he lied to me. He told me it was Curio.
Strictivus is a wheat beer that we age on a blend of locally sourced fruits.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. So.
That beer is exceptional. I'm glad you loved that.
That's
super small batch.
Nice.
I think that was draft only.
Yeah. Draft only, brewery only.
He also told me that they had sold out of bottles. So. I haven't seen him there since. So maybe.
Yeah, so there might be a reason for that. So.
We did that.
Sold out of bottles.
Whatever.
All right. Well.
So good.
I gotta know.
I have not had any of that, but I have 5 friends that have had it, and look, you're one of them. Look at that. Imagine that.
We're friends.
Untapped. Five friends on Untapped. Well, on Untapped. Yeah.
All right. These guys.
That's what they call it on Untapped. Friends. Yeah, so. Anyway. All right. So my all right, my 3. Here we go. First, I'm gonna do what Dave just explained to you. I'm gonna do a 3-2-1, but I'm 3-2-1. but I'm gonna give an honorable mention only because I only.
Oh, I missed my honorable mention.
Yeah, you did. Go ahead. What was it? Go ahead. Throw it in
Nancy's
a good beer.
Oh, to throw some lovely grapefruit into it.
There you go. All right.
It's what I got out of it. Oh, such a good beer. Anyway.
All right.
I definitely would get grapefruit in that beer. It's cherries, but you definitely get a note of grapefruit. I totally hear that.
So, my honorable mention is actually Little Brett.
Yes.
It was such a good beer. And,
so fun story about Little Brett is that it's brewed with the house yeast strain that we discovered in Interlude.
Really?
Yeah. So it's literally like it's Allagash Brett, 100% fermented in Little Brett.
That's great. It was so good though, and I only had it at the brewery a couple times while I was there. One time like 4 years ago. In fact, I might have been having it with you pouring it at the time because I think we were actually talking at the time, if memory serves, actually. But whatchamacallit? I'll explain later. But in any event, it was an industry thing that we were there for. But in any event, that's definitely my honorable mention. My number 3, cool. I'm going to start with 3. I'm going to go 3 to 1. Ready?
Okay.
3 is any cool ship beer. I'm just
cop out
there. I'm copping out. I can't pick one. I can't. I gotta give it any cool ship beer.
Well, and the thing is, another one.
And when we post this on Instagram, it's gonna say Jersey Johnny any cool ship beer number 3.
That's another one of my honorable mentions would have been Cool Ship Red.
Right.
Yeah, raspberries.
Oh, so good.
Can't go
wrong. Anyway, so any cool ship beer. Number 2 is Curio. It's just. I have to.
It's a perennial favorite. You can't go wrong with Curio.
You can't go wrong with Curio.
I'm loving this right now.
It's so good.
I got someone to take some of the bottle for me, but it's empty.
Did you know?
Now empty. Yes.
Did you know? So, it was the rabbit that you're frying up later for Haas and Pepper. Right?
Yeah,
there you go.
Haas and Pepper came out.
What's that rabbit's name? Kerry?
Yeah, maybe.
No, okay. Just making sure. Anyway,
didn't take too much coaxing to get
I didn't think
the bottle and pour some.
I didn't think so. Anyway, and my number 1, I got to go with Barrel and Bean.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I've just
interesting.
I've had so much of that beer, and look,
so good.
This is a hard list, and this is a right now. As we said, we can. You ask me 4 weeks from now, it's gonna be different.
Ask me in spring, it'll turn.
Ask me in spring, it's gonna be different. Yeah, absolutely. But right now, I've had a few in the last couple weeks.
You're just jonesing it. I love it.
It's a nostalgic beer for me too. I'll go back to saying, I was drinking it since it was James Bean. So,
it was a good beer. It's always been a good beer.
But
classic. Love it.
I actually still, and I don't know. It's sitting in my cellar with all my corked and caged and everything, but I still have a James Bean bottle corked and caged.
Oh man, I would dive into that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean it's not from 5 years before it changed to Barrel and Bean. It was probably right. It was probably the last one prior to the switch. But so was that 3 years now or ish? 3.5 maybe.
What does Gene say all the time?
Drink your beer.
There you go.
Joe actually says it. Gene doesn't.
I know. We're moving through it, and I'm like, oh my god, we've got so much beer in the fridge.
Yeah, but it's what? It's 10. It's 10% or 10. It's 10 and change, right? Yeah. Or it's right at 10%. Yeah.
Just drink your beer.
Just drink your beer. But no, it's I got to dive into that. But that's got to be my number 1.
I love
it. Number 1. I thought you were on number 2.
No. Curio was number 2.
Oh, right. Lost track.
There you go.
I've drank too much Curio to.
I think you have. Absolutely.
I can't do math.
Anyway,
no such thing as drinking too much Curio.
Great choices, you guys. Those are good ones.
Little Brett though was a fun beer. It was great. I mean,
super unique.
So
super
good.
Cool beer.
It was so good. So fun.
Super bright. Really refreshing. Real easy drinking.
I
think that beer was only like 4.8%.
Yeah. It was
pressure.
Absolutely. Cool. It was a fun beer that day. All right. A couple of things I got to ask you. So, really quick, off topic, just you grew up in the Boston area. What obviously you live in Portland. It's not like you're a million miles away from Boston.
No,
obviously
for sure.
Back. Obviously, what's your favorite craft beer bar in Boston? I got to ask you.
Craft beer bar in Boston
right now, not all time. All time, obviously, there's others, but right now, the current craft beer bar in Boston.
Good Lord.
Yeah, remember Sunrise closed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. Oh God, that's really hard.
I mean, I would have a problem saying this too. And I only go up maybe 3-4 times a year.
But we know John's favorite is this little teeny tiny bar next to a skyscraper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly. God.
Well, the skyscraper is actually a parking garage, but that's besides the point.
Oh, that's right. It looks like a skyscraper next to the bar.
So I lived in Washington Square in Brookline before moving into Portland.
Okay.
I'm sorry, before moving to Cincinnati, because I went from Boston to Cincinnati to Portland.
Right.
And there were always there. I mean, the public house is it's right there, and it's so good.
Of course,
and obviously,
the public house is great. Yeah, absolutely.
They have, and they are definitely one of the places that introduced me to some really cool Belgian style beers, including Allagash, and so they are for sure in they're probably my top one. Sure. Yeah, even when I go back,
my top one.
Yeah, I mean, I know, right? They're so good, and the mac and cheese is unbelievable.
Oh, sure,
it's legendary.
Sure. Well, that's
cheese. Did you say mac and cheese?
Yeah, exactly. That's
public.
That's for me my favorite. Brookline Public House.
I know, it's technically
you haven't been there?
Boston, but...
No, I've not.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
I love the Public House.
No,
you gotta go there.
I remember, I would always go up there to visit my brother.
Mussels and fries for
days.
Everything
so for him is by Yelp reviews.
You got to kind of get off Yelp every now and then. So.
Yeah, I can't get them too. So anytime,
because honestly, my experience is half or more of the people on Yelp really just don't belong telling people what to do. So
he came up here. We're in Manhattan. I wanted to go to Lamella's, which is just a fantastic place, and he took us this one place. And mind you, it was good, but it wasn't worth $200 a plate.
No, you don't want to do that. Yeah. My favorite of all time, my favorite beer. Craft beer bar in Boston actually closed a couple of years ago. That was Lower Depths.
The Lower Depths closed.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that place. It was so good.
The tots in there were perfect. I mean, you could just, the beers that were on tap and
$1.
all the different. Oh, so good, so good. But Bukowski's is my favorite right now. Tip Tap Room is like a rival. I mean, they got obviously look the tap list at Tip Tap Room is better than Bukowski's, but I just love the vibe at Bukowski's.
Tip Tap Room has a great tap list.
Great tap list. That's great.
Killer tap list.
And they have to go.
I feel bad because, I have been I obviously with the pandemic and having an 18-month-old, I have not gotten down there nearly as much as I used to, but there are some great bars in Boston.
Absolutely.
I may have to go to Boston in the beginning of December for work.
Might you?
It's such a
it's a shame. I can't imagine that they put you through that ordeal. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I really hope they don't mind me working hungover every friggin' day.
Well, as long as you can handle it, I don't see why they would care, really. But
guys, I hate to do this, but I do have to bounce here.
No, we're done. We're done. We're just going to
wrapping up. Actually, once the top threes are done, we typically wrap it up.
Yeah, so we
John goes through his spiel.
Yeah, no, I just wanted. The only other thing I was going to say to you was any other last things you want to tell anybody out there listening to the audio or watching the video about Allagash or whatever coming up.
Yeah, I would definitely. A big shout out to our virtual tour and tasting program, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for something cool to do, you want to come virtually visit the brewery.
Yep.
We're going to be launching virtual tours really soon, like in the next week. It's pretty much ready to go. So if you need, email these guys and they'll get to me and we'll figure something out. So that's super awesome. And then stay tuned for our new experience, which is going to be starting next year that I'm so excited about.
I
can't tell you more about it yet because
is there a roller coaster?
Cool.
Is there a roller coaster?
I wish, but no. That might not be great with beer.
Nice. Yeah, probably not actually. Or you can go on the roller coaster first, then start drinking afterwards.
Exactly.
That would work
exactly.
that way. It would work
Zip lining through the fermentation tanks.
Totally.
All right.
Well, awesome, guys. Thanks so much for having me. This is great.
Oh, thanks for being on.
You got it. Hang tight 1 second. We'll hang up. I just want to do the exit here. We'll wrap the show up for today on this note. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lageroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember,
memorized yet.
Absolutely. Like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night at 6:30. And for those of you, And for those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. Plus, the show is now available on Amazon Music Podcast and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. This has been great. Great show. This was absolutely great night. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cheers, you guys.
Absolutely. Cheers. Enjoy. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly. And we will talk to you soon, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
God, this beer's so good.